Good morning, guys. Welcome to FYI. Happy to be here with you. It is, folks, it is Wednesday, the 17th day of January. The month is past that half point mark. How are you guys doing out there this morning? Good to see each and every one of you. Tessa and Edward and Debbie and Dolly. The challenges, folks. I'm hoping we're not defined too much by these challenges. Last evening, we didn't have regular internet. We had to be squeezing out sometimes. We had to be, coffee has arrived, folks. That's the life. That's the life. What? Coffee has arrived. Thank you, coffee people. The squeezing out some internet, some data to be online. I saw some of you saying they're trying with us. Margaret Nelson. Some of you were saying they're trying with us. Like I can tend to believe y'all now. Like we can tend to believe y'all. But good to have each and every one of you here with us. And we're so happy that so many of you are good-natured about it. All of these snags that we have in broadcasting. And these are, I put it on as part of the vicissitudes of streaming a program live and in a country like this. You're going to see lots of excuses still being made with blackout, with regards to blackout. Lots of excuses are being made there. And, it's just, like as I said, the vicissitudes of trying to do business in a country like Guyana. It's just part of it. And we, like the British do, just keep moving on, keep trudging on, just get on with it. The British would say. Andrew and Gary Wong, Andrew Griffith, that is. Leon Logan, we see you there as well. And all the other folks joining us this morning. Great to have all of you folks on the live with us today. And we want to get right to it, folks. The first 15 things we think you ought to know about as you start the day today. First 15. So a lot happening, folks. Lots happening at our end. But how are you guys doing? Yvette, Juna, Danny Abrams, Loretta Argyle. Great to see each and every one of you there, and happy to run through some issues with you happening at home, abroad, around the world. Isabella Butters, around the world. Yolanda Thomas and Annette Cummins, around the world. Edward Brooms. Good to have each and every one of you there. Sabrina Blue and all the other folks as we start the day today. The first 15 folks. Edward, we see you there. Elizabeth Howard, we see you there as well. Lots happening, folks. Lots happening. All right. So great to have each and every one of you here with us, and just making sure that we are up to speed with our notes at our end. As I said, great to have each and every one of you here with us from the very many places you all are joining us from. And we saw overnight some very, very sad news coming out of the diaspora. Guyana's lost a cultural icon. We can talk about that too. It's one of the things we picking up on this morning. As I said, good to have all of you there with us, folks. And as we head off, number one, what did I say? Blackouts, they're telling us, due to transmission line faults. They promised us last year, didn't they? That with the installation of the new generators, brand new generators, we were going to see a difference and we're going to see a change. That has turned out not to be so. That has turned out not to be so. What has happened? What has happened in such a short space of time? Notice we're getting some, are you guys seeing some flashes at your end? What's happening on that front? They said, transmission line faults are to be blamed now for blackouts. It's not the generators. It's not the rat. It's not the cat. It's not the dog. Transmission lines, Isabella Butchers. Yolanda Thomas. What do you guys make of it? What do you guys make of it? We had an internet blackout last evening. And our service provider told us from 1 yesterday to 6. How are you going to do a business in a country in an outage like that? Because the ongoing repairs to Cemetery Road is the spirits. Here, the Guyana Power and Light Company says transmission line problems, folks. Just the way it is. Andrew Griffith. Andrew says GPS bluffing. Right? GPS bluffing. It's not a transmission line. It's second-hand generators. That's what Andrew says. Maxine, you know the old story. And it comments, you know the whole thing. Please let us know. German Griffith, we see you there as well. And the other folks who are joining us from around the world this morning. Number one, blackouts. It's a transmission line. Number two, folks, we're getting a visitor. Canada's UN ambassador. Canada's ambassador to the UN. He's going to be visiting, folks. I wonder why. Is it anything to do with our recent assumption of the chair of the UN Security Council? Is it that the reason why? They're telling us the Honorable Robert Ray, also known as Bob Ray, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Canada to the United Nations in New York, is on an official visit to Guyana today, the 17th day of January. Mike Pompeo had a private visit the other day. The man who said that Trump had won the election and will be assuming office. The folks in charge of the American electoral system said differently. Right? The US's GCOM said differently. He was adamant as Secretary of State. Trump is going back. Welcome, Bob Ray. Welcome, High Commission of Canada. Right? Or rather, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Canada to the UN there in New York. Bob Ray is on an official visit to Guyana. Yep. Wonder what that's about. One wonders. Thirdly, folks, we're following this a Pitbull attack in Babis. 64-year-old man has died. A number of dogs, they tell us, attacked Latchman and Primal, called Black Boy. Number of pit bulls. This happened at Tupu village under quarantine. East Quarantine, Babis, there in Region 6. And this is according to his wife, Sandra Pramal. She told police that her husband left home on Monday, approximately 17 hours, and headed to a liquor shop in Tupu. While making his way home, he was attacked by 3 pit bulls that had escaped a nearby yard. Bite marks on both legs, his hip and right hand. Right? His neck was also reportedly torn apart by these pit bull dogs. Folks, you gotta fence your dogs. My legal training says if you have a nuisance on your land, you gotta contain it. Especially dogs like that. Temperamental. You got to contain the animals, folks. Yes, it might be nice and cute and cuddly for you, but for your neighbor, you got a nuisance on your land, you got to contain that. Tore his neck apart, according to his wife. Tore his neck apart. Our thoughts and prayers with Sandra Pramal and the entire family there. What a horrific way to die, being mauled to death by a pack of pit bulls. So sad. Our thoughts with Sandra and the entire family. That's the country we live in. It's wild, wild west. The good book instructs us that in the absence of leadership, it says, what does it say there? Is that Ecclesiastes? Every man did what was right in his own eyes. You remember that? The Sunday school people with us. What's happening there? People got the animals doing stuff like this. Fourthly, folks, you know, I just come back from Latam. I was there in my room as well, Region 1, Region 9, respectively, 9-1, respectively. The things we hear about the LCDS, Low Carbon Development Initiative, the monies coming out of that through the carbon credit sale. Amerindian villages are being given some money. But the folks the PPP have put in there, they're not looking out for Indigenous brothers and sisters. They aren't. And that is why when the Honorable Minister of Finance, Dr. Ashley Singh, was talking about this in the National Assembly, about a new allocation in the 2024 budget, I was making the observation that this process is riddled with corruption. Riddled with corruption. Hururu in Region 10, in the sub-region, Hururu is an example of that. Lots of allegations against the Tushao in Hururu. Folks, here's story. Monastobi, Brenda, Sheena, Debbie. Here's story. With the Tushao in Hururu. These are very strong allegations. Our police will have flicker. Don't know what's causing that. A flicker. Strong allegations. Finger pointing. Nepotism. Corruption. But you know this all too well. You've been here with us at least for 3 years. Friends, family, favorites, and flatterers. You know it all too well. Strong allegations against the Tushao there in Hururu. I was in that community a couple months ago, in November, early November of last year. I was in Lothersville, Kokwani. Those are neighboring communities in the sub-region there in Region 10. So they got a beautiful new welcome to Linden sign, Region 10. Thanks to the tourism committee there in Region 10. So lots of corruption. This LCDS, Low Carbon Credits Fund, is a scheme, is a Ponzi scheme. Here's the story with Hururu. Why Hururu is so interesting. Neon, Forbes, Tessa, Abira, Debbie. Here why Hururu is so interesting. So you're locked in. You all share their life so others can get valid and credible information as well. Let's drink this little tea here, man. Here's a story now. Strong allegations. The folks in Hururu have been very vocal, taking the Tushao to task and others there. Listen, if you want public office, you gotta love scrutiny. You gotta love transparency. People's Progressive Party Civic. You gotta love good governance. And because the folks there in Hururu, in Region 10, they've consistently been asking a lot of questions. Some good folks, good citizens that are doing just that, being good citizens. They've been asking a lot of questions. Raquel Gentle, Ingrid Ambrose, where the money going? They're asking that in particular. You see? Not in particular. And I'm trying to remember the Caribbean personality who said that you cannot be afraid to ask questions because they're dangerous questions. You cannot be afraid to ask questions, Yolanda, Ingrid, Raquel, Norma, because they're dangerous questions. He says when you do that, you become dishonest. And a dishonest scholar is a menace to society. I'm trying to remember the Caribbean personality. So they've been asking questions in Hururu in Region 10, but the Tushao don't like that. They've been asking questions through this LCDS committee. When the funds from the LCDS, carbon credits come in, the committee is supposed to decide with the Tushao, with the larger village if needs be, what the funding will be spent on, and then they track to give accountability to how the money is spent. But they've been asking too many questions. And so the Tushao has taken the liberty, the Tushao has taken the opportunity, the Tushao has had a gumption. He has dismantled the whole committee that should give oversight. Through the committee, we're being told at the village council level, the secretary to the village council, the committee has asked her to draft a letter in which it is inviting the community to a meeting to discuss the finances. But hear how the people love good governance. Hear how they love accountability. Hear how they love transparency. We've learned the Tushao was fired the secretary because she wrote the letter in which the LCDS committee is inviting the Hururu community to a meeting. You fire the secretary. And one other will be made to understand. So the LCDS committee that gives oversight to the projects and so on, asking too many questions, she dismantled the committee. And the minister name is calling a lot. Minister Pauline Sukai, her name is featuring a lot there. In that whole situation playing out in Hururu, Minister Pauline Sukai, get your house in order. Get your house in order. Long time gone. Minister Pauline Sukai. Short time come. So dismantle the LCDS committee. And we heard similar tales in Latem as well. We heard similar tales, folks, in Region 1 as well. Mabaruma and those allied areas. We heard similar issues. Why would you want to disband the committee? All because they're asking questions. So get your house in order. Minister Sukai, please and thank you. Number 4, number 5. The 5th thing we think you ought to know today. Look what's happening on our roads. Look what's going down. There were 798 charges issued by the Traffic Department of Guyana Police Force. 2,175 traffic tickets written in 1 week. Folks, it's about 30 to be in this country. Why the charges so high? Because folks are taking the road for granted. Why tickets being issued so high? Because a lot of people not observing the traffic rules. That's what we see happening there. Debbie Collins, Neon Hardy, that's what's happening there. But let us approach our roadways with caution, care and concern, consideration, and all the other C's. Let the change we desire begin with us. So be careful out there, folks. Be cautious out there. Please and thank you. Be careful and be cautious out there. It's wild, wild west on the road. If you should see some of the things they want to do now. On this new road, they have Mandela Avenue heading there to Eccles and the new road. Heading to Diamond. Need for speed on that road. Need for speed. Number 6, folks. The 6th thing we think you ought to know as we start the day today. The aviation sector is losing workers. The aviation sector losing workers. and the aviation sector is saying, this is in part, they tell us, right? Because people are being attracted by the higher wages of the private sector. But if that's the case, with this reading of budget 2024, $1.146 trillion, but nothing on the minimum wage, nothing for workers definitively announced, more folks going to leave. So there's an article in Starbuck News during the course of the week that says 20 folks left the aviation sector. They're pushing back, saying it's not 20, it's only 10, it's half. It's only 10. And the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority, they're saying this is associated, these resignations are associated with air traffic services. Well, I'm frightened now. Is who guiding the planes into Chanjagan International? Who guiding those planes down? 10 people left the work. Air traffic controllers. And the authority, the Civil Aviation Authority, says that it cannot compete with the private sector salaries. So their staff leaving the work to go into the private sector. Along with double jet. Right? Many more will follow. The 10 air traffic controllers and others who left the work in the aviation sector. People don't run from good. It's not the adage. People don't run from good. So when them planes coming in at CGIA, who bringing them down? Who bringing them in? Level up. Who's bringing them in? Well, I'm a little concerned now. So they massacre. So they say they better pay the air traffic controllers. Very important people. Very, very important people. So when you touch young and things looking thin, things are looking thin at CGIA, understand why. You understand why? The seventh thing we think you ought to know as you start the day today. You've got to be careful how you dispose your refuse. Man from Cadenville Grove was arrested he wanted to dump his stuff on the roadways. I see this all the time. You driving somewhere. Somebody just put a hand on the vehicle and drop a box, drop a cup. Why can't you wait until you get to where you are going? Find the bin and dispose of that. Find the receptacle and dispose of that. And I agree that the NDCs in these areas, RDCs, what have you, the government, albeit, should be able to provide the necessary receptacles so people can dispose of their garbage. But we all have a responsibility to do that. If you reach out your window and you fling down a piece of paper, you telling me, well, that becomes my responsibility now. I didn't put it there. This isn't stuff that's biodegradable. Big chicken box. You know, drink bottles and so on. We just fling out the window. You're saying to us, that's your problem now, guys. I don't eat my chicken. I don't eat my ice cream. I don't drink my beer, my drinks, whatever. And we throw it outside. Come on, folks. Come on, folks. Well, you know, we got to make a couple of them an example. We got to make a couple of folks an example. Peter Moore of Cadenville Grove on the East Bank was apprehended by police for unlawfully disposing of waste on a public roadway. And this was at Farmhurst Selling. Come on. We have such a beautiful country. That's why it's like run away from the city ever so often. You're going to see the expanses of beauty we have. You don't miss this city. With the little bugs we have. We don't miss the city. So we hope that Peter Moore has learned his lesson. We hope Peter learned his lesson. Debbie Collins, let us all be responsible. How we dispose of our refuse. How we dispose of the People's Progressive Party civic. How we dispose of the garbage in our society. The other thing we think you ought to know about, folks, this week. Started today. They're telling us that in 2024, at the regional hospitals that they're building, members of the public will be able to access psychiatric services. Well, I think after this budget done with us, we're going to need it. After this budget done with us, we will definitely need it. So FYI, the new regional hospitals being constructed, I think they said 10 or 9. Psychiatric services will be available there. Psychiatric services will be available there. I have a deeper understanding now that I've heard the budget. Why? You got them kids, you got a family, you don't know. One day from the next, people just going to trip in this country. God forbid. People just going to trip. Nothing for public servants. Right? Y'all say walking down Regent Street and I muttering things to myself. You know who don't know. That's what's happening. We're shocked when we heard some of the things we heard there. Budget 2024. Shocked. I think I see everything. I didn't see the shock coming. I'm not shocked in a good way. Debbie, Glenford, Akila, Roquel, not shocked in a good way, Diane and Forbes. At all. Psychiatric services. Now there's a good problem we got here, City Hall. The 9th thing we think you ought to know as you start today. City Hall got a good problem here. You got people come with money. You got people come with money. See? Excuse me. People come with money. You got them waiting. You got a good problem. Mayor Alfred Mentor, good morning to you and the team. You got a good problem down there at City Hall. You got to make sure, when you see people got money, make sure they can come in and out quick. Because we know the city needs money. And we don't want the People's Progressive Party civic making styles about subvention and so on. The people come to pay their rates and taxes. Want to move them along. Want to move them along. And this is an issue we see Starbucks News reporting on today. Citizens are complaining. They've got to wait too long. They come for bulk. They come for bring the money. You want to make sure you can collect that. Then I see City Hall launch MMG. Then I see that. Why can't you pay your taxes to the city through any one of the other places you pick up money through? Bill Express and so on. I want to make it as convenient as I can for people to pay the taxes, to bring in the funding that the city so badly needs. And that's what all of us should want. Anybody got no time for lines in the 21st century? Come on, folks. Anybody got no time for lines, long lines, to pay rates and taxes City Hall. You got to check that. It's a good problem. People come with all that money, straighten up their affairs. Just like Pauline gonna get a house in order. Don't let's make them wait unduly long at all. At all. You know, yesterday, We got some folks based in went down by courts. Got some family visitors. We went down by courts. It's the second time I was at courts with the same family in the last 8 or so months. In the last 8 or so months. Second time. Right? And the treatment has been the same. It is subpar. The treatment has been the same. It is subpar. Don't talk to me about $1 trillion economy and the customer service in the country is something poor. Don't talk to me about that. Don't talk to me about biggest GDP, high income country. You bringing the money like the folks going to City Hall are being treated anyhow. And that's what I found at courts. Courts got some lofty things about customer service written up on the walls. But they're meeting that 2 times in the last 8 months. I took folks to engage the system there. Right? And hear this. Hear this. Dan and Kamal and Guyana nowadays. Hear this. These folks were buying stuff from courts. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. In both cases, I think the bill went over 500,000. Cash. Cash. And you would think they're coming to beg? They're coming to borrow or ask a discount. The system was subpar. It wasn't even break even. It was subpar. You know one thing that fascinates me when I go foreign? FYI. One thing that fascinates me when I go foreign is customer service. You could be buying a snow cone. Good morning, sir. How may I help you? Good morning, ma'am. How are you doing today? Welcome to JCPenney. Welcome to Marshall's. How can we help you today? How can we be of service? Welcome to Targets. We got a long way to go. We got a long way to go. A long way. And courts is too long. It takes too long. If I'm going to spend cash in a store, right? And it shouldn't matter whether you're buying $800,000 in what have you, or 800. But why am I spending an hour and a half, 2 hours in a store? What's that about? Unless I walk in all over, inspecting prices, fine. 3 items, 4 items could run you 900,000. I can take the bed, I can take the chair, sir, and I can take the mat. 900,000. Why am I in there an hour and a half? And this is not only courts, we got up with service. When you engage in services in Guyana, you got to set aside your whole day. We got to up that. And I know that under Mayor Alfred Mentor, they can fix this problem. People come with the money, get them out and in quick. Get them out and in quick. Too many people at courts lazing around and dragging around. The body language. Don't say open for business. I wonder how much money businesses are losing by customers who just come and turn away. Who just come and say, along with, they turn away. They got a Chinese shop at the head of Durban Street. Golden Pagoda. By the time he said chicken, he said fried rice here. You want to cook with that, sir? You know me too well. You know me too well. You got to up your game in the 21st. Which little Dubai? Let's get real, folks. Which little Dubai? Let's get real. People dragging around. Dragging. 8 o'clock in the morning. People vex. You come. It's like, why you come so early here? Why you come so early here for fatigue week? Number 10. 10 things you think you ought to know about as you start the day. Today, the 10th thing. Folks, we've lost the cultural icon. Told you about Claire Goring. I haven't seen anybody who had a bad word to say about Claire. And all praised her efforts at bolstering Guyanese country, Guyanese culture rather, in the diaspora. I saw Rickford Burke wrote a very, very moving tribute to Claire. I think I saw one from Selwyn Collins as well, and some other folks. Here is a woman, Claire Goring, who left this country, but she left her culture behind. She wasn't ashamed of who she was and where she came from, and sought to expose that to other folks in the diaspora. What good Claire? We need more like Claire Goring. But I understand the other side too. I see people after a budget like this will buy a ticket and just throw a brick over them, throw a little salt over them and say, done with them. I ain't want to hear, I ain't want to say, I ain't want to know nothing. But Claire took this country, took the best of what it means to be Guyanese with her to New York. See, people loved her for that, respected her and supported her activities and her initiatives because of that. Her profound love for country and its culture was infectious. I think she's attributed to have started the Guyanese Folk Festival celebrations there in New York. What good, Claire. What good. Take your rest now. Folks were shocked by her sudden passing. What good. What good, Claire. What good. Don't let you bother with people. Let us worry ourselves. Let's consume ourselves. That's why we are here. And if you understand that, you got more wealth than a lot of folks. If you understand what's your purpose in this life, that's gold right there. Claire understood that and she lived it out every day. In her own little corner of the world. She never sought to be a politician. Yet politicians knew her. She never sought to be fame. She never sought fame, rather. And yet she was famous. See? I cross paths with young people like myself all the time. They want to be famous. And there's a fascination of being popular. And I say to them all the time, if you find something that you're passionate about and you pursue that, you sharpen yourself there against that stone. You be curious about that passion. You develop it. Look, the fame, the notoriety, right? When I say you want the infamy, it's going to follow you. You're passionate about something. You pursue your dreams, your hopes, your goals, and aspirations. People can take note. You got to go after that. I want to be popular. What can I do for be popular? What can I do for get likes and shares? Claire did it the old-fashioned way. She found something she was passionate about, something she loved. She never worked a day in her life. That's what the self-development people tell us. The experts, the gurus, you find something you love doing, you'd never work a day in your life. She brought a lot of energy and passion. What good, Auntie Claire? What good? thoughts and our prayers to all the folks in the diaspora who knew and loved and lost Claire. Our friends and family, our thoughts and prayers are with you guys as well. The 11th thing we think you ought to know as you start the day today, folks. Folks like Elizabeth, Hughes, and Van der Radzik are asking the Exim Bank, don't fund the Gas to Show project. They didn't fund it yet. But the vice president seemed very, very assured they're getting money. So much so they have started funding the Gas to Show project. The Wales Gas to Show project. But your money, my money. Let's say we put it back in the bank account. So in this year's budget, $90 billion was allocated to the Gas to Show project. Folks, if this thing's so lucrative, if this Gas to Show got so much money in it, how come you ain't got, how come this is not PPP? Private partnership, whatever they call it. Private-public partnership or public-private partnership. How come it's not PPP? I mean, it's PPP, but how come it's not PPP? How come? If there's so much money, if it's so nice, how come investors are not flocking to get a piece of the action? And we got to, in turn, pour $90 billion in it. Is this going to become like Gaisuko? $46 billion we give to Gaisuko. $40 billion over the last 3 years to produce 60,000 tons of sugar only. Only. Isn't that company? It's a charity. A charity could be. It's a charity. You understand? Let me just give away the sugar. Guyanese must go in the supermarket, maybe just pick up a pack of sugar. Cashier said, no charge, sir. That's understand. 40 billion. 40 billion. And we didn't produce a pound of sugar at profitability. They promised us Keldon was going to electrify the quarantine. This is a byproduct. Energy generation. Oh, they're still waiting there. Electricity tariffs were going to lower. But this is now the promise of this transformational project, the Gas to Show. 90 billion, the Exim Bank, the litigants, Elizabeth, Hughes, Van der Radzik. Say, hold on, this thing is problems here. This Gas to Show. We're not dotting all our I's, we're not crossing all our T's. This was supposed to cost us under 500 million US. Folks, I think they just passed, if they're not closing in on $1 billion US, they've just passed that as a cost. If this thing's so nice, how come international investors not hustling in for business action? Indy Jackson, how come? Indy, how come? Big shout out to all my brothers there in the hinterland. Who don't know? All my brothers and sisters, they're in the hinterland. Folks, the 12th thing we think you ought to know about as you start the day today. Fires? Fires. You know, our figures are 2 or 3 fires off from what we see other places are reporting. You know, this is probably the 18th fire in 17 days. Right? So you do the math there with the ratio. 18 fires in 17 days. 19, could be 19 fires, Father. Could be 19. They tell us a family on the quarantine. Family on the quarantine, folks, lost their home as a result of this fire. And this was at Yeah, this on the quarantine. All right? On the quarantine, and we want to say, we hope the government helps get this family back on their feet. Right? Quarantine family of 5 lost their home. Right? Thoughts and prayers with them as well. Family of 5 lost their home. And then the 13th thing we think you all know that he started it today. This guy was a bright guy. He understood the law, maritime, civil law. He understood languages as well. He had a love for languages and spoke several languages. Retired Judge Jacob Witt. He retired from the CCJ just last December owing to ill health, and the court announced overnight that Justice Witt had transitioned. I remember him for the questions he asked. He always had a very searching question. A very, very searching question. Very thoughtful, methodical, measured. Understood the law. It wasn't like the brash and rash types that we have. What good Justice Witt? He was there from the inception, you know. The start of the Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ, he was there from the start. 18 odd years serving the Caribbean, dispensing justice, adding to the the jurisprudence, adding to the jurisprudence of the region there, and adjudicating in many of the matters coming out of Guyana. What good Justice Witt? Here's a man who found a passion, pursued it. He didn't seek to be famous. He's for understanding law and help people to rationalize what is right and wrong according to the law. Gain fame as a result of it. A very intelligent man. We don't get 2 and 3 justices with Jacob Witt in one lifetime. We just don't. Yep. But ultimately, the 14th thing we want you to know about as we start the day today, kudos to the folks at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation. Hard-working staff, the doctors and nurses alike. Auxiliary staff as well. Those who are doing good and treating people right and so on. We got lots of them in the system, no doubt. And they tell us over the last few days and weeks, they've done 9 successful cleft palate surgeries. 9. No doubt children's lives are going to be changed in immeasurable ways. When we live in a country who's got a little deformity, people won't point it out. Right? Your head big like my own, they won't point it out. Your ears bigger than my own, they won't point it. Oh, big ears, big head. I never like false names. You know what the old people say? It's never a call, it's where you answer to. Bigfoot. Yeah. We happy that 9 lives change in immeasurable ways. Thank you to the folks at GPHC. Thank you. And I'm happy that a little good sense at least prevails in health. That should prevail elsewhere. The last administration, they did X, Y, Z. You don't come and undo all of that. But monkeys know which limb for jumping. You could imagine if they had come in and closed down the COVID center. Oh, it was a shell. It was this, it was that. But y'all still using it. But that should happen across the board. Good projects that benefit the lives of the citizens of this country, we must carry on with them. Good programs and initiatives, we must carry on with them. You can't build a country if every successive government breaks down, or tries to break down. But if former government did. You can't build nothing like that. You can't build anything like that. Kudos to the staff at GPHC. You're heading in the right direction. Please and thank you. Finally, folks, the 50th thing we think you ought to know about as you start the day today, the GDF black box, the black box from the chopper that went down with 7 of our bravest and our finest. Said it's going overseas, it's heading overseas, it's overseas for analysis. Marcia and Yolanda and Neon and Lettel, Annette and Chester. It's going overseas for analysis. Who's sharing the live? Who's going to smash the emoji button for us? Here what fascinates me about this. Annette, David, here what fascinates me about this, Yolanda. There's so much we don't know. There is so much about that crash we don't know. So let me start there. Number one, there's so much we don't know. But we have 2 survivors from that crash. We have 2 survivors. Chief of Staff Omar Khan. Why hasn't the nation heard their account of this crash? This GDF helicopter, on that ill-fated day, the 6th day of December, I think it was. The 6th day of December, that ill-fated day, taking those lives in defense of our nation's territorial integrity. We bear the grief collectively as a nation. We mourn collectively still. But that helicopter has 2 survivors. And from all of the photographs we have seen of them, they're well on their way to recovery. So why we gotta wait in the black box to know the whole thing? Why we gotta wait in the black box? And we have 2 survivors. That's fascinating to me, personally. We have not heard a word. Chief of Staff Omar Khan. What does the GDF know they ain't telling us? What does the government of Guyana know that they're not telling us? What does the Commander-in-Chief, Arfan Ali, know? What does he know that he's not telling us? We got 2 survivors and we are no clearer. They're not unconscious. We're no clearer as a nation to know what happened on that ill-fated day. We've heard assumptions about the weather and all of that. But I want to hear in their voices. I want to hear their story. Why are they being kept from the public? Tracy Clark, Ian Williams. This is a matter of public interest. And this nation deserves the right to know what happened on that ill-fated day. December 6th. The nation has a right to know. The nation has a right to know why this government doesn't like the citizens of this country. Public servants got to wait to know what pittance they're getting. The average citizen ain't getting a brace. We can't eat a food too. The citizens of this country, we can't make a bread. Friends, family, and favorites. That's what we got. Friends, family, and favorites. We're still unpacking budget 2024. The biggest burden ever. I mean, the biggest budget ever. $1.146 trillion. Or what is it for you, Sheena? When you sit down with your family, Ram Singh, Yolanda Thomas, Edward Brooms, what is in this budget for you and your family that says to you, we got a place in this country here, and we got to make it. We ain't got cut and run, and we don't have to stay and bun. But it's truly prosperity for us. We're in this budget. We're in this budget. Some families saying, when it's old girl can go about your business. Old girl too expensive to maintain. They give her 3,000. Increase to old age pension. Public assistance, 3,000 DHS. Youths, 1.4 billion. Youths are the future. This kind of price. We see the future. Children, 1.2 billion. University Guyana, 1.1. They're building their own tertiary education initiative through goal, rivaling UG. You can listen to our Shadow Finance Minister, Rita Finance, and Dr. David Hines, and I talk about that in our program last evening. See, that's what's happening here. Nothing irregular. Minimum wage. We don't know. We don't know. Something is wrong with that. Something is wrong with that. We know clearer on free education. They're telling us that they're going to eliminate outstanding UG loans. How? Something with whether you employ or privately employed, publicly employed, self-employed in a year of graduation. They haven't thought it through. That's the problem. They have not thought it through as yet. And so the whole thing is hairy-fairy. Hear 'em, scare 'em. They haven't thought it through. And this disdain for the University of Guyana, this disdain for structured tertiary education development is going to come back to haunt us. It's going to come back to haunt us. I see Marcy Agard says, more suffering for Guyanese out there. More suffering. Folks, in the days ahead, weeks ahead, months ahead, this budget don't go away, you know. Even though we think about it less, it's working there all the time, in your interest and against it. Right? In the interest of time, we've just clipped the hour mark. We're going to save the rest we have on this for subsequent broadcasts. We're going to have a guest or two this evening, and we're going to be interrogating this budget, unpacking this budget. A lot of letters we see. Of course, you got your set pieces. You got some wonderful folks in the private sector. Really, some good folks. Then you got some others. So we see already the private sector commission doing what they got to do. See? But I saw President Arfan Ali and the chairman of the private sector commission commissioning a building or something of that nature on the west side. I don't expect him to say anything different than he has said. The private sector commission. We got some good business people out there doing what they're passionate about. Doing what they love. Bread, eating the food. No trouble with that. You're doing it honestly. Political private sector commission. So the GMSA, Ghana Manufacturing Service Association. They get it right. This just given too. Tenor of which, not unsurprising. We understand this is in politics. You got some set feet. Yeah, we understand it. That's just the anatomy of politics. But we're not doing the people of this country any service. We're not doing them any service. That's going to do it for this set. Until our next podcast, guys, going on this morning with all the challenges we're facing, technological and otherwise. But it's been nice being here with you this morning. It's always nice being here with you folks in the mornings and trying to bring sense to some of what we see out there. Those are some of the things we're tracking this morning. Thanks for joining us. We see Waveney Doris is here. Ivor Henry is here. Vashti Magnard is here. Donna Daly is here. And I want to pick up on more and more. I see Waveney talking about it. Don't be fooled by them. Don't be fooled. Them just borrow and don't pay back. We're going to be talking about some of that. I heard Emmy Finance raised it quite recently. Bonanza wealth. And yet we're borrowing. Borrow, baby, borrow. We unpacking some of that. You folks, Dan Mitchell, Waveney Doris, Yolanda, Vashti Ivor, Jonna. That's going to do it for us this time. Bushmaster, Rishi, Winella. That's going to do it for us this morning. Folks, as you exit stage left, smash that emoji button for us. As you exit stage left, share the live for us as you exit stage left. Folks, partner with us as well. You're heading into the city, the Alistair Collins for all your documentation needs. You need an expert. Justice of the Peace, Commissioner votes to affidavits. We want to recommend the Alistair Collins firm for you. We recommend them highly as well. Right, they're down there, the Kalian Mall, Lamaha Street, between Camp and Waterloo. 649-6410. Between Camp and Lamaha. Between Camp and Waterloo on Lamaha Street. Between Camp Street and Waterloo Street on Lamaha Street, down the ground floor of the Kalian Mall. 649-6410, 649-6410, 685-6448. 685-6448. Those are the numbers you want to engage. And as I said, folks, that's the time. And that's our program. Thanks for joining us, each and every one of you, folks. Until the next.